Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with another BOLO video. So right here, guys, I got the BOLO books, and BOLO obviously means be on the lookout. So these are the books that you guys want to keep an eye out for in your own eBay sourcing for your own eBay stores, but honestly, you could do it on whatever reselling platform you want to do. For me, I just specialize in eBay. I find the eBay pricing for like all the consumers looking for stuff, the pricing is a lot more straightforward. You get a lot better of a bargain than a lot of the other ones like Etsy and these other ones. You get charged an arm and a leg for something that's not really worth that. So as such, I don't see as much traffic going to those places for these high-end collectible things. These books right here, they're obviously not the highest end collectibles out there. I mean, it's just boring cloth-bound stuff. It's from mid-century, as in, I think these are like between 1950 and 1960s. One of them is 1979 now that I think about it, but nothing too exciting about these books. However, I just bought these a couple of days ago. Actually, I got them for free, so even better. I was buying some other books and these were for free, as I mentioned. So $0 out for me. I did buy some other books while I was out, but I did get a ton of free books from this particular place. It's from a library at a local college that is actually downsizing, unfortunately. They're downsizing a lot of really cool books, but fortunately for me, I can actually go and get these books for, again, free. But what is the entire point of this BOLO? If I got it for free, why should you guys care about it? Well, these things are actually pretty valuable. So before I dive in and tell you guys what I just sold these for, what I was seeing other people list these things for, I just wanted to say that this is, I don't know if it's a full set, but it is definitely a set of these books. It's interesting because these books, as you can see right here, it does have the Roman numerals on it, and I was thinking, oh, it's book 1, and then it's like part 2 of book 1, so that's why I was thinking like, on the middle part it says 1, and then on the second part it says 2, and it's 2 elements of logic. And I was thinking, oh, it's just part 2 of book 1. You know, I've seen that in some other sets of books, but then I actually started looking at things a little closer, was looking at the other listings and saw, oh, this is not book 1, and then this one's book 3, and then this book's 5, this one's book 7, something like that. It wasn't that after all. It was actually, this one is book 1 and 2. This is 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So it's actually books 1 through 8 from this particular guy, which I thought was pretty cool, but that's not something I saw when I was grabbing these books. So what did I see when I was grabbing these books that I thought, oh, this is a cool looking set of books? Again, I didn't think it was actually a full set. I thought it was just a whole bunch of random books from the set, but I was like, these books look like they are valuable. So let me just tell you guys what I look for, my little reader eyes when I'm looking for these things, my reseller reader eyes, you know. I'm like, okay, what about these books is cool for me? So I'm just going to show you guys this. Feel free to shout it out in the comments if you guys think you know. That's all the time you get, though. So first things first, they're ex-library, so I always see ex-library books as a bit of a red flag. It means the value is oftentimes going to be diminished somewhat. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, if you have a whole bunch of like newer books and you can get an ex-library versus a brand new beautiful one, it's going to be worth a whole lot less to get the ex-library. But for antique books and just vintage books like these, it can actually be pretty valuable to still get these, even if they're ex-library, but just because they're going to be a lot more rare. But that's not obviously something I was looking for when I was buying this. What I was looking at when I got these was, it's a beautiful set of red books. People like red books for some reason, but I always keep an eye out for it because they like it. But then I also saw that these books, they had slightly different color shades of red on them, which means it's a set that is continuously being printed, which means it is more popular. That's something I like to keep an eye out for. It also means that the people who got this cared enough about this set to get additional ones, filler ones, for when they lost one or had it destroyed or something like that. So I immediately knew that these books were not all from the original same set, but they were a similar set, and they were just replacement copies. But aside from that, there was one other thing that I looked at that I thought was going to be pretty valuable, and that's right down here at the bottom, guys. So right there it says it's from the Harvard Press, and the Harvard books, guys, from the mid-century, I find are actually pretty valuable. I know it's going to get a little political in here, and I do that all the time in these videos because politics does permeate a lot of things we do, unfortunately, but I find that with a lot of the books that I deal with, when you have books from bigger colleges such as Harvard that are mid-century, they're generally going to be worth a good amount of money. However, once you get past like the 60s, which is interesting because around the 60s-ish is when everyone started getting pushed into college a whole lot. This is getting to the political part. Everyone's getting pushed to college, and obviously the big colleges like Harvard and whatnot are going to get a lot more people. And when you have a whole lot more people, that means they make a lot more books. And because they're making more books, well, the books you have left aren't going to be worth as much. However, if you have some books that are mid-century from colleges, oftentimes I find that those can be worth a little bit more, especially when they are from larger colleges. So obviously Harvard is one of the Ivy League ones, and it's so cool, even though no one really likes it anymore, or at least less people do because they've really tarnished their name. But Harvard, pretty big one, but it doesn't have to be an Ivy League school. That's so cool, even though people don't like them anymore. It can be just very large state schools or ag schools or science schools, that sort of stuff. These sorts of things can actually be pretty valuable. So for me, I saw Harvard, saw mid-century-ish, and was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. And I know I mentioned mid-century. Let me just caveat and say books from the 1940s-ish that are college textbooks. So I'm saying like beginning in 1940s and to, I'm going to say 1948, roughly, maybe 46, somewhere in there. Obviously, this is not a stamp, this is the rule above all rules, but that's just something I sort of see. Textbooks that are from that sort of era are also not going to be worth a whole lot, sort of like the ones from the 1960s, and that's just because everyone's going to college. For the World War II generation, the ones that went to the school in the 1940s, they obviously printed a ton of these books because all of these GIs were then given free college for all these sorts of things. So as such, those books, again, are not going to be worth as much. So the 1940s, avoid those textbooks. Basically, from my experience at least, vintage textbooks after the I'm going to say 61-ish. After that, I tend to avoid those as well because I'm just like, okay, dime a dozen. They make a ton of them. Everyone's going to college nowadays. College doesn't have the same value it used to because everyone's doing it. Ergo, it's not going to be the differentiating factor for you getting a job, that sort of thing. And not really the point of this video. So back to this BOLO video. Great book, Harvard set. Really cool. I know I was hating on Harvard a little bit, said it's not very cool. I actually do buy some Harvard books every now and then for myself to read because, again, it is still quite a large school. They do have some teachers that are very sharp. I'm not saying it's not a good education that you can get at certain colleges or certain courses, but there are definitely courses that don't have any value. And let me just say, that's not just political. Guys, the courses that have no actual value for society, generally I find those textbooks are worth basically nothing as well. So just keep that in mind. So I've had a lot of different courses that there are college courses for. I'm not going to name them off. That I think will get me banned on YouTube. But there are a lot of different courses that everyone's like, oh, you're not going to get a job out of that. And obviously you can't get a job out of that. But those textbooks, it's funny, you get them and you're like, this dude selling this book is selling it for less than even shipping costs them. Like, what in the world? You know it's not worth something when. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Obviously, if you guys follow what my rule is for all sourcing of look it up before you buy it, you're going to be set and pretty. You're not going to be buying a whole bunch of bum steer. You're going to get something that actually works. But for me in this set, I didn't actually look them up. I was just grabbing a whole bunch of random books and saw these and thought, okay, they're free. I'm going to grab these. Worst things worse, I throw them away, even though I probably wouldn't throw them away. Cough, cough. But it was something that I was like, this is definitely something. So with all that said, what are these books worth? What did I sell them for? And honestly, what was I thinking when I was listing them and selling them and that sort of stuff? So first things first, before I tell you that, yeah, I'm giving you another cliffhanger, guys. I do that all the time. First things first, like these books sold in like less than an hour. I want to say it was like half an hour that they sold in, which is pretty stinking fast, especially considering eBay. The eBay can take a long time for things to pop up. I want to say it might have even been less than 15 minutes, but I don't have that off the top of my head what it was. But these books, I was looking them up when I was listing them. People are selling individual copies of this set for like between the lowest I saw, I want to say was like $90, and the highest I saw was like $145 for a single book from this set. So right here, I have a full set. And for those of you guys that are in this business, you know that when you can get a full set of books, sometimes it can really increase the value. So if someone's paying, let's just say an average of $100 per book, I have a full set. I could ask $500 potentially for the right set. I don't know exactly what this one was because there was no one else selling an entire set of these books, which oftentimes happens with a lot of these books, especially the ones that are more valuable, like $100 a piece. I find people normally like to cut those sets up and be like, oh, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You can buy them all separate, or you can buy them all from me right now. I'm not going to cut you a deal because I know they're worth something, that sort of thing. But for me, I listed them all together because I don't like getting stuck with just one book from a set. It's not as fun, and then you just sit on that book for like 50 years. So for me, I like selling stuff as a set whenever possible. However, I did not ask for $100 a piece for these books. I didn't ask for $150 a piece. I was actually asking $300 for these 4 books, which basically means, for those of you following along, someone was getting one of these books basically for free, which is already a good deal. However, I got an offer for $255, which is $45 off of what I'm asking. The reason why I think the person did that particular number was that basically made it so I was doing free shipping for the person. So once they paid for shipping, it came back close to the $300 I was asking. Wasn't quite there. I think it was like $4 off, but I'm not really caring about that because, hey, a sale's a sale. And remember, guys, what did I pay for these? Before I drop one, what did I pay for these? Nothing. So if I can go from nothing to $255, let's take away eBay fees. Let's just say it's $180 and say fees were huge or something. They weren't actually that big, but let's just say I get $180. I paid nothing. That's a win. That's a good day. So that's something that you guys can definitely keep an eye out for, are the sorts of books that you can get and sell for really good money. And guys, relationships are one of the biggest things in this business. I know people say, oh, your network is your net worth, that sort of thing. So the people you know, that is your like overall net worth. They say stuff like, oh, friends are power, that sort of stuff. Relationships are power, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a rip what you call it, but relationships are a very important thing in this business. And for me, these books that I got right here, I got them for free. Again, free. I can live with free. I can afford free. These books, I actually got a text from the people that run this particular library, one of the people that runs it, and they were like, hey, so we're getting rid of all these books right now. Can you come by and pick up all the ones that you find have any value? They didn't ask me to clear out the entire thing. They asked me to just come in and grab the valuable books for myself. They knew I was going to be making a profit on these things. They didn't care how much of a profit I was going to be making because I've established a relationship. I've bought things from them before. I've been very friendly with them. In fact, I really like some of them, and I think they're pretty cool people. That's just something that you sort of do. I mean, there are all the people out there that are like, I'm just an introvert. I can't really do that. I understand that, and I do not say that you should fake it in any way, shape, or form. People can tell when you're faking it, especially if you're like an introvert and you're faking that you care at all about a person, even though you're just like, stop talking, please. I want to go like garden outside or like dig a hole where I put the last extrovert that was trying to talk to me, you know, that sort of thing. Like, obviously that's a joke, but it's funny because a lot of people will say, you got to force it. You got to learn how to not be an introvert. Like it's a bad trait. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert whatsoever. There are actually a whole lot of very good benefits to being an introvert. For me, I just actually learned this phrase this past year. It's called a ambivert. So the ambience of the area, ambivert, and it's, you can be an introvert when needed or an extrovert when needed. So I sort of see myself as one of those. I haven't taken any tests to know for sure what I am, and I don't care. But for me, it's like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine being by myself or being with a group of people. When I'm with a group of people, though, I make friends, and when I make friends, I get free books. And obviously that's not the entire point of making friendships. That's not the entire point of this business, is to just chat people up and try to get stuff for free. But it is a nice sort of perk to doing things well and making friends. There are friends who will hook you up with some books. I have some friends throughout the years that I have learned that I do this business on, and they're like, hey, I have these books, do you want them? Or, hey, I have these books, are they worth anything, like, for them to resell themselves? I'm like, yeah, show me right now. What are these books? I look it up, I show them how to do it. I'm like, yeah, so this is the value of this book right here. Here's my phone, type in the info that I just showed you how to do it, type it in for this book. And they do, and they're like, oh wow, this book's worth $30. I'm like, yeah, cool. Congratulations. So yeah, all these books here, you can look them all up on your own. Like, I just show people how to do these things. In fact, I've had so many people ask how to do antique book selling, how to look these things up. That's why I made this channel, one of the reasons at least. So that is something that definitely can be kept in mind. And I know that this video went a lot longer than what a lot of people would want for just a BOLO video, but there are a lot of lessons to be learned about this particular BOLO video, and it's something that I think a lot of you guys would find value in. And did I mention I got them for free? So I know, guys, that not everyone likes this sort of content. I know that a lot of people do, though, so that's why I make it. And I know that some people will complain that I went all over the board, but other people, they really enjoy when I dive into all the different things, because it really shows stuff that people need to keep an eye out for, keep in mind when they are sourcing for books. Again, guys, I got these for free, and I didn't just do it because I was nice to these people one time. I actually was nice to them a few times. I've been there quite a few times. I've actually, for the particular guy that reached out and texting, I think I've spent like 2 or 3 hours just chatting with this guy between this time and the last time that I went out sourcing for books. In fact, he's not even the guy that I paid for the last group of books that I bought from this place. He just is one of the other staff members who's really nice there. But when you guys are doing these sorts of things, I know it might seem like you're wasting time. I just said I spent like maybe 3 hours chatting with this guy. That's time I could have spent entirely focused on getting books and spending some time just getting the books, focusing on that. Guys, I am a dude. Dudes cannot multitask for the life of us, and oftentimes when a dude sees a dude multitasking, they feel like they're not being listened to. So for me, with this guy, I would actually put my stuff down and listen to him intently, chat with him intently. I was not, oh, yep, whatever you say, man. I was engaging. So that's something else that you guys really need to do in this business and just in life in general, especially if you're a dude, is set your stuff down. I don't care how good of a multitasker you think you are. For me, I can actually sort of multitask, but I try to focus on people because it's just disrespectful if you don't. And if you disrespect people, first off, they're going to charge you more money. Second off, they're not going to call you to get books for free. But third off, the most important thing, you're just being a dirtbag, and no one likes a dirtbag. You're not going to make friends as a dirtbag. You're not going to find anyone that's going to set you down when you're in your casket. You're not going to have any friends to help bury you, you know? And at the end of the day, it's about the legacy you leave. It's not just about, oh, I got some books for free. It's about who actually cares about you. Do you have anyone you care about? Are you going to be this sort of person that at their funeral you only have people talking negative, or are you going to have wonderful stories of people who actually cared about you in your life? And I know I'm talking about life advice, and I know that I'm 20-something and no one cares about life advice from a 20-something-year-old, but hey, I get my life advice from a lot of people that are a lot older than me. In fact, I read a lot of books from people that have been dead a couple hundred years and get a lot of life advice from that sort of stuff as well. So I try to keep up to date on the sorts of things that I need to, but end of the day, I like to focus on the things that really matter, which is legacy, which is wisdom that you can pass on, all that sort of stuff. So with that said and done, I know that's a lot to go on about a free set of books, but I hope it was beneficial for you guys. If you did like this video, be sure to drop a like. It really does help the channel, especially with videos like this that are probably going to get dislikes because I went all over the board. But also be sure to subscribe, check out one of my other videos there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.